Good morning. I'm Cantor Sachs. I'm the senior cantor here at Temple Emmanuel. We begin our service this morning with words from Psalm 121. Shir la'ma'alot, esaynai el ha'arim, me'ayin yavo Ezri, me'im Adonai, oseh shamayim v'aretz. O yiten lamod rogecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hinei lo yanum velo yishan shomei Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka ve'yareach balayla. Adonai yishmorcha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzedcha uvoecha me'ata ve'ad olam. I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, and your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever.
Adonai mi yagur ba'alecha, mi yishkon b'har kodshecha. Adonai, who may abide in your house? Who may dwell in your holy mountain? Those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them or bring shame upon them, who scorn the lawless but honor those who revere God, who give their word and come what may, do not retract, who do not exploit others, who do not take bribes. Those who live in this way shall never be shaken. Those are the words from Psalm 15. Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu, our God and God of all generations, thou who governest all things with infinite wisdom and mercy, and who guidest the destinies of all of humankind. As a parent have you loved us and showered your blessings upon us. Therefore we shall not murmur even when sorrow befalls us, but with humility and unfaltering trust we shall accept your decrees. In joy and in sorrow alike we praise your goodness and acknowledge your justice. We remember that we are but strangers upon earth. Like a shadow, our life flees away. Help us, O God, so to walk in your sight, that when the few years of our earthly pilgrimage are ended, we may be ready to meet our end with tranquil mind. To thee we look for comfort and strength. When one of our beloved is taken from us and a link is broken in the chain of love which binds us together. Though we walk in the valley of the shadow of death, we shall fear no evil, for you are with us. Be praised, O eternal our God, in all your dispensations, and sanctified be your name, now and forevermore. Let us all say together, Amen. Dear friends, you all know that this is a very close-knit family. Small though they are very, very close-knit. So there are a number of people in the family who want to share some thoughts with all of us, and in so doing, to help bring comfort to themselves. So I want first to call upon Vitaly, Yana's son, and his two daughters, her two granddaughters, Zoe and Lex.
Today, we are all coming together to mourn the death of my beloved grandmother, whom I called Yaya. I knew her as a kind, loving, committed, and empathetic person. I have many memories that I will hold close to my heart, but some of the ones I will hold the closest are the ones of the many trips she took us on, whether that be to Hawaii, to Mexico, or to the wonderful cruises she took us on. On the last trip we took, she even dressed up as a pirate for Halloween, which goes to show her dedication to family. These are only a sliver of the many trips she took, which just goes to show how adventurous she was. I will hold these memories the closest because traveling is a big part of who she was. Even in her last days, she still wanted to get out of bed and go to the table or go to the TV room and sit down. Yaya is my inspiration. There are many reasons why she inspires me, some of which include her dedication to those who are close to her, her ability to lead, and her empathy for those who needed it most. Whether it be dedicating her time and service to something that mattered to her, or spending time with everyone whenever she could, we can all agree that my grandma was an amazing person. Although these times will be hard for all of us, we have to remember that she had an amazing life and is now at peace. Thank you so much for making my grandma's life so much more enjoyable.
I'll read Lexi's words on her behalf. By the way, I'm glad Rabbi Foster started crying a little bit first so that I'm not going to be the first grown man to cry up here. Lexi's words. She wrote what she loved about Yaya, what her favorite thing about her grandmother was, and it's titled, I'll Miss You. I love you, Yaya. I love how Yaya always helped people in need, even when she retired. And that made me learn that you should always help people in need. That lesson I will always remember. I love you, Yaya. Where's my support crew? That's okay. Oh yeah, you got it. I'll try. Thank you all for being here today to celebrate the life of this amazing woman. As I look out at everyone, I'm struck by a few things. One, there's a lot of you, and that just goes to show what an impact she had on the community, that so many people are here to celebrate her life. And two, you all had different relationships with her. You all had each your own unique and individual interactions. You knew her by different titles, whether it be friend, CEO, aunt, sister, wife, Yaya. To me, she was simply Mamichka, my mom. To be honest, I struggled when thinking about what to write today, and partially that's because of the grief and sadness that I feel, but it's more than that. It's how do you condense this amazing woman, the qualities and attributes that made her so wonderful, and how do you express what she meant to me in a couple minutes? So I did what I normally do when I struggle with a problem. I have my support crew. I did what I normally do. I asked my mom. And even though she wasn't there physically anymore, I knew I could still rely on her advice and her wisdom. So I thought to myself, what would Yana do? What would Mamichka do? And then it became clear, and I heard her voice, Synichka. Right from the heart, share your feelings. My mom loved to share feelings. And then Rabbi, yesterday when we met with him, said, maybe frame your thoughts in the form of a letter to your mom. So that's what I did. So here goes. It's my final letter to my mom, and you can read along with me. Dear Mamichka, it's hard to imagine life without you. You were such a big presence for me and everyone around you that there will be a big void in your absence. I take comfort in knowing that you're no longer in pain, you're no longer suffering, and that you're in a better place. I wanted you to know how I will always remember you. First and foremost, you're an amazingly strong person, a fighter with a contagious zeal for life. You were brave, you were unstoppable. At the age of 30, you were the driving force behind picking up your family, including your 4-year-old son, and moving them 5,000 miles away to a foreign country to start a new life. You did that despite the protests of some of your family members. Having young kids of my own, I can only imagine the strength and conviction that it took to do that. If that weren't enough, after you got here, you decided to not just get 1 degree, but 2 degrees. And by the way, in a field that was new to you, that you hadn't studied before. You raised a son, oftentimes as a single mom, while focusing on your career and your dedication to JFS. And you became CEO of the agency that once resettled you those many years ago. But then just being CEO wasn't enough of a challenge. You redefined the vision and mission for JFS, and you took the agency to a whole new level. I'm sure that a lot of people listening to this letter today that were your donors were often awed by your persistence and passion for the JFS mission. Finally, you took on Parkinson's and cancer head on. You fought hard, and your joy of life always shone through, despite how you may have been feeling. Even towards the end, I remember we were at the hospital when you had complications from your cancer. And the doctors said you only had days to live, said it was unlikely that you would live 2 weeks. That didn't stop you. Those conversations were over 2 months ago. You didn't go until you were ready, and you did it on your own terms. I remember when the chaplain at the hospital during that visit asked what you were looking forward to during your remaining few days at home. And you said, dinners with my friends and family. And I thought, Mom, did you not just hear what the doctors, the experts, said? You only have days to live. And by the way, you can't eat because you have a gastric obstruction. I should have known better. I forgot who I was dealing with. Several weeks later, we were enjoying a Passover Seder at your dinner table with your dear friends, Nina and Rex, Greg and Sandy. And your zeal for life shone through even then. I remember A few of them wanted to leave early out of respect for you being tired. You said, sit down. Where are you going? It's not time to leave yet. Even then, even in those last few weeks, you were forced to be reckoned with. Also, Mom, I'll always remember your lessons about filling your life with passion and purpose. You led by example and epitomized what it meant to live life with purpose. You were passionate about everything you took on in life, whether it be your commitment to JFS and the Jewish community, your family, your friends, your travels, or anything else. It was always filled with passion and vigor. You demonstrated your passion for work by the outsized impact you had on the community. You cared so deeply about the people that worked for you and the thousands and thousands of people you were helping daily through JFS. Your passion enabled you to be the driving force behind JFS for so many years and to do so much good for others. While you're now gone, Mom, these are just a few of the ways I will remember you, and I know your spirit lives on. I see it every time I look at my girls. Yeah, your beautiful granddaughters, and see how they're growing up using the inspiration you have provided them. I'm confident they will carry on your legacy and keep it going and growing for generations to come. In closing, I'll just say simply, Mamichka, I miss you. I love you. Now is an added treat. One of the things that my mom really loved was when Zoe sang. And I'm not going to embarrass her by saying she was admitted into the Denver School of the Arts to be a vocal major. Oops. But she's going to sing one of my mom's favorite songs now.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. So I hung my head and cried. I'll always love you and make you happy. I'll hold you closest to my heart. You'll always be here in spirit. Please don't take my sunshine away.
I'd like now to call upon Jessica Milstein, who really is a second cousin, but she's more like a niece, and she wants to share some thoughts with us. And mazel tov to you, Jessica. Jessica just got engaged.
Cher, Madonna, Beyonce, and Yana. What do they have in common? They're so prolific, they only need to go by one name. Their name commands respect, admiration, celebrity. They're larger than life, which means I had celebrity status too. I was Yana's niece. But the truth is, everyone felt like a celebrity around Yana. She had that gift. When I look around the room today, I just wonder how many people loved her like family. But she was my auntie. But to everybody else, she felt like their auntie too. And I was always okay sharing, because to know Yana is to know her limitless, unconditional love, support, and acceptance. I was just lucky to always get to cut the line when I needed her most, which was a lot growing up and even to her last days. Raising 2 teenage girls in America doesn't come with a manual, so to say my parents were in over their heads sometimes is a bit of an understatement. But we always had the comfort of knowing that one door was always open. There was always someone who would listen to us, understand us, no judgment. She saw me. She loved me, no matter what. It's why my sister and Alana and I felt so close to her. There was nothing too big or too small we didn't want Yana's advice on. We were so close that not even just a second cousin or a niece, she was like a second mother to us. So much so that it was always a sore subject for my mother, Alla, who was always finding out about her daughters from Yana and not vice versa. Sorry, Mommy. Some things don't change. When I'd first met someone special last year, she was one of the very first people in my family that I told. I told her my worries, my hesitations, my deepest fears about love. That's the thing about Yana. You could bare your soul to her and know it was safe. I knew I could always be authentically and unapologetically me. And I knew I could always count on her advice. Even Parkinson's and cancer couldn't change, were no match for her wisdom. It's why when I brought my fiancé, Sambit, to meet Yana several months ago, it wasn't just meeting another family member. It was seeking the approval of someone I trusted, even more so than I trusted myself. To know that Yana gave us her blessing in marriage means everything to me. She was my auntie, and being an auntie carries a lot of weight in this family. As much as I loved my auntie, so too Yana loved her auntie, my grandma Anya. Perhaps it's what bonded us so much, the love of being an auntie and having an auntie that you absolutely adored. So what promise can I make to the memory of my beloved Yana? That I will always strive to be a loving, accepting, understanding, trustworthy, and supportive auntie to Zoe, Sophia, Lexi, and Andrew, no matter what.
There is perhaps no piece of literature in all the world that is used more often at moments like this than the words of the 23rd Psalm. The question is why? Not just because it says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death." That would be a good enough reason. I learned a long time ago from one of my professors that King David, who is the supposed author of the book of Psalms, King David had something else in mind when he wrote those words. And what he had in mind was the fact that moments like this are difficult for all of us, especially for family. Very difficult. And so the task of an individual is to walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Not to get stuck in that valley. To do all of the things that Zoe and Vitali and Jessica have just said as they remembered who she was. To do those things because that's what she would ask of us, and that's what all of our loved ones would ask of us when they're gone. And so the 23rd Psalm is used as it is now to remind us to walk through that valley. So I'm going to call upon the cantor to chant the 23rd Psalm, and then we'll all say it together, those of us who know it, and those of us who just remember a few words, it's okay.
Adonai roi lo echsar binot asher yarbitzeini al mei menuchot al mei menuchot yanaleni nafshi yeshovet yeshovet yancheni v'maglei tzedek yancheni v'maglei tzedek lemon shemo gam ki elech begit salmaven lo irora ki ata imadi shivtecha umishantecha hema yenachamuni nafshi yeshovet yeshovet shulchan neged tzorerai dishanta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya ach tov v'chesed yudefuni kol yemei chayai kol yemei chayai v'shavti b'vei Adonai leyorech yamim Adonai roi lo echsar Adonai roi lo echsar. We read together, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
I want to call upon two more speakers. One is Yana's nephew, Jacob, a real nephew. And then after Jacob has spoken, we're going to call upon Yana's brother, Alan.
Ooh, this is hard for me, guys. Yana, a story of courage, resilience, survival, and success. A book for sale on Amazon, but a story that's priceless. I recently read Yana's book to get a deeper insight into her extraordinary journey, and what I learned was incredible. Yana lived two separate lives. She left the Soviet Union to come to America when she was 31 to begin a new life. As an adult woman arriving in a foreign country with nothing, feeling helpless, lost, and disenfranchised, she persevered to build a life for her in Vitaly. Yana had a huge heart with endless love for the people around her. To Yana, family was priority, but friends held an equal place in her heart. I'm going to read a short passage from her book. The one thing I can never be grateful enough for are my good friends. They helped me adjust to my new home in America, advance my education, succeed in my career, and face some difficult life challenges. We have shared many laughs, some wonderful memories of traveling together, and bonded through our personal struggles. Without them, my life would be empty. Yana, it's surreal that you're not with us right now. Without you, our life will change in many ways, but it will definitely not be empty. We're all so full with what you brought us in this life. We shared such incredible times, especially that one time in Amsterdam. We both know you'll never forget. Look how many people came out for you today. If it was up to you, you would be up here with a fork in hand, banging on a glass to get everyone's attention, just to say a few words. You were always the center of attention. It was always your celebration. And although this is a sad time for all of us, we're all here to celebrate you and the beautiful life you lived. I love you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alan. I'm as known as Yana's little brother. You know, I didn't prepare a speech. I didn't write anything. I just want to say something from my heart. But I remembered I read a poem some time ago. I didn't know who the poet was, and I wasn't sure how to find it. Then Google came in mind, and I knew first line of the poem, and I want to read it to you. I think it's very meaningful. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I'm not there. I do not sleep. I'm 1,000 winds that blow. I'm the diamond glints on the snow. I'm a sunlight on a ripened grain. I'm a gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning hush, I'm the swirl of uplifting rush of the birds in the circle flight. I'm the soft stars in a shine of night. Do not stand in my grave and cry. I'm not there. I didn't die. This is the words I want to share with you. We all know who Yana was and the way all loved her and touched by her presence. I want to say a last thing. On a tombstone of my parents, there's words. As long as we live, you too shall live. As long as I live, you too shall live. I lost my best friend.
Poet has written, birth is a beginning and death is a destination. But life itself is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage. From childhood to maturity and from youth to age. From innocence to awareness and from ignorance to knowing. From foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom. From weakness to strength or from strength to weakness and often back again. From health to sickness and back we pray to health again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love. From joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion. From grief to understanding and from fear to faith. From defeat to defeat until looking backward or ahead. We see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death is a destination. But life itself is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage made stage by stage, from birth to death to life that is everlasting. Beloved family, Jim, Vitali, girls, Alan, greater family. First, I want to say that we all have a collective thanks for the members of this family that have shared so much of who Yana was, not just in what she did, but who she was, because that is really the essence of what brings us together. And I hope that you especially will give me just a few moments to add my own thoughts, because she meant a great deal to us as well. But we have a collective thanks to you for sharing with us. All of us who here know that Yana's passing has created a sense of loss, because we were all in some way or another included in her life. She had a huge heart, a huge way of bringing people in. And that was one of the greatest qualities of her life. It is appropriate for us to be here in this sanctuary today. Yana and Vlad and Vitali and Lexi, I want you to know that your dad was younger than you when he first came here, okay? And in 1978, when they came here, the first place that they came was to Temple Emmanuel on a Friday evening. And it was our custom at the time, it isn't so much anymore, but it was a custom at the time that we would walk out and we would greet everybody in the back of the sanctuary. And Yana and Vlad, and we're so grateful for you being here today. You guys maintained a special relationship all of these years, and that's something for us to admire. But when Yana and Vlad walked up that aisle, and Vitaly too, he had no idea what he was doing here. They walked up this aisle, and Yana came up to me and she said, "My name is Yana Vishnitsky. I got off the plane today, came here from the former Soviet Union, and it's nice to meet you." Now, most of you know that Joyce, at the time, from 1977 on, she was working at the JFS, trying to help people who came from the FSU to find adequate and meaningful employment. That was her job. And see, she's calling us. And one of the things that she needed was somebody to help her. Joyce did not speak Russian. She didn't speak Yiddish, a little bit like all of us American Jews. And our Russian was very, very limited. Нет, да, спасибо, доброе утро, добрый день, добрый вечер. That's it. And she needed somebody to help translate for these immigrants. And Joyce was here too. And I said to Yana, I have somebody to introduce you to. And that was the beginning of a almost 45-year friendship. I'm a griever today, too. Because Yana meant a lot to all of us. I promise I'll get through this. Maybe this will be the last time. That's it. Joyce met Yana, and Joyce said, she's got to become a translator for the agency. We won't mention names, but she went to somebody and said, we've got to get this done. And they said, oh, no, she's a client of the agency. She can't do this. But there were people like Charlene, and Joyce, and others who really pushed the agenda and got Yana to be a part of the active work of the JFS, bringing people from the Soviet Union to meaningful work. And she helped for many years to do that. And then we all know, then she went back to school and she got her degrees, and then she became ultimately the CEO of JFS. And not just became the CEO, she was that person who made all the difference and really took it from one level to a magnificent place in our community. And we're grateful to her for that. These past years since her retirement have been difficult. First it was her Parkinson's and then her cancer. And she and Jimmy would have preferred to be on a cruise drinking a good bottle of wine. That was what they wanted to do. But these last few years have been so difficult. And we're here, all of us, because we didn't want her to suffer, and we're understanding of what it means to have moments like this, because they are bittersweet. Bitter because she's gone, and sweet because finally, as you guys have said, that suffering is finally over. And she understood that. She was so dedicated to her own parents. And I remember those moments when they were in the process of leaving this earth. I've been with this family now for 45 years through all of this stuff. The weddings, the children, the grandchildren, the deaths, because we are not just friends, we feel like family. And for those of you who know what that means, I can't not mention this. Yana was the best maker of eggplant, garlic eggplant. And if you've never had her garlic eggplant, and I don't like eggplant. I hate eggplant. But I still taste her garlic eggplant and hope that somebody in the family will give us that recipe. Thank you. Because it was the best, and that's one of the things that I'll remember. She was a powerful influence upon us all because she was that kind of person. I do want to share with you, as I try to do so very often with families, I honestly believe that you have 4 tasks today, 4 tasks. One is to grieve because you've lost someone special. And I say this to every family because people lose their loved ones and it's difficult. But you have to grieve. Can't just pass it off as if, oh, it's okay. It's not okay because your lives have changed and you recognize that. Don't be afraid to grieve. Don't be afraid to shed your tears because they are the tender tribute of love and respect that we, the living, pay to the dead. And it's important that that become a task of yours. Second task. And Yana was going through this at the end of her life. Second task is to wonder not just about the miracle of birth, but the mystery of death. And I must tell you, we spent a lot of time with Yana before she died. And every time I was there, she always said the following to me. She said, what's going to happen? And it wasn't just what's going to happen at my funeral. It's what's going to happen when I die. And there is a wonder about this moment. I had to say to her at every time, even last Wednesday, a week ago Wednesday when we saw each other, I had to say to her, I said, Yana, I wish I knew, but I don't. And as many of us as there are in this room today, we all have different points of view about what's going to happen to us. And none of them is correct and none of them is incorrect. They're correct for us. And I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not in any hurry to find out either. She was wondering about that. And she cared about that. Third task for you as family and for all of us as friends is to remember who she was and what she did in this world and the differences she made for us. Because she was a unique and special person. And lastly, and I say this especially to you girls, because you're the youngest and you have to remember this longest. Not only do we remember who she was, we have to try to emulate who she was. Your dad said that. We have to try as best we can to remember who she was in all of those good moments and try as best we can to try to recreate that. And do something in your lives because she did it in her life. I think that's a task that we all have. On one of the days that we visited with Yana, she asked me to read a poem, a specific poem. I'm going to read it. It's called The Dash. I don't read it too often because I think it's a unique poem. I think it's true. But the poet wrote, I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent alive on earth, and now only those who loved them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real and always try to understand the way the other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? And I believe the poet understands this moment. It's not only about family, it's really about us as well. We think, and I think this is incorrect, by the way, we think that what we should do is remember people because of what they did. I honestly don't believe that. I believe that people do what they do because of who they are and what their values are and what their guts are about and what it is that makes them speak. And that's what I think we should remember. All of the things that we do as human beings, it's because of who we are. And who was Yana? Yana was an agent of change. Real agent of change. All of you, except you, Jimmy, all of you would not be here today were it not for Yana. And I think about that all the time because my grandparents came from the former FSU, from Ukraine. And if we had not had them as grandparents, we wouldn't have been here. And that's true for so many of us who have Eastern European parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. She was that person of change. She wanted to come here. Anya made that very clear. She wanted to come here in spite of the fact that people in her family did not want to make that change. She did. She was pretty determined. And she made that change, and she was a young woman when she came here. She wasn't so old when she died either, but she was a young woman when she came here. She made all the difference in the world. She was determined. And I think that the members of this family who are here because of her are ultimately very, very happy that she did what she did. She was dedicated to this community. Yes, she grew in that dedication. But she was dedicated. Otherwise, she wouldn't have begun that process. She was so creative. So many of the things that our agency does now are because Yana thought about them, understood them, tried to make a difference for so many people. Not that it didn't happen before, it did. Jewish Family and Children's Service was a great agency, always has been. But it's even better now because of her. And she left a wonderful legacy behind. Because she was giving and caring. And I know this doesn't sound correct when you talk about Yana, but she was also very diplomatic. You know, she took her ideas and she sold them. And, you know, look, she sold them to some of you who decided you'd invest. You'd invest in what she wanted to do. And that meant she was a great fundraiser. But she had to diplomatically sell her ideas. Because I know, having been the rabbi here for so long, I know that when people who run an agency go to somebody, they say to themselves, all right, what do they want now? And then many of you might have said that. Okay, what does she want now? But you gave. She was supportive of all of us and our ideas. She loved life and tried to overcome its difficulties. And there were some. She had enormous courage. Coming here and facing her family's wrath took courage. And she was not about to give up. She was proud of her heritage. And when Joyce and I were going on a cruise and we were going to stop in Odessa, she said, here's the address, and the apartment we lived in was up there on the left-hand side in the corner. She said, please take a picture. And we did. She was proud of that. She was very proud of that. She was proud of this family. No matter how you are related, she was proud of all of you. She had a love for Jimmy. These last 30 years have been special. Actually, these last 26 years have been wonderful. The last 4 have been difficult. We know that. But she had a special relationship with you. She was bright and wise. She gave great advice. She was witty. She had a great sense of humor. And when I say she had a great sense of humor, she was willing to make fun of any of us to get a laugh. That's who she was. But it is this family that meant the most to her. Her parents of blessed memory, all of you who have supported her in these years here. Vlad, your friendship over these years is exemplary. And Jimmy, these last 30 years together, I know have been special for you as they were special to her. And if there is something up there or around there, I know that you guys have not finished with your wine. You will be able to find a good bottle that you'll both enjoy. And so, dear friends, we come to this very sad moment. And we hope and pray that God will extend his arm of comfort to each of you, that you will find strength to bear your grief, secure in the notion that she lived a wonderful life, and she has left a lasting memory and a lasting heritage for us, if we're willing to try to emulate who she was in her life. It is in that spirit, then, that we resolve to face our grief without self-pity, but with bravery and integrity, keeping before us forever the blessing that God conferred upon us in this life that he but lent to us for these decades too few. And in a world where our most precious goods are perishable, let us resolve to honor our beloved dead by being so good to the living, so kindly, so understanding, so forgiving, so transcendent of pettiness that we will always honor her by remembering who she was and what her gifts to us have been. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, yehi shem Adonai mevarach me'atav v'ad olam. God has given, God has taken away. Praise be the name of God, now and forevermore. And let us all say together, Amen. And now, dear family and friends, as you are able, I would ask you please to rise for the traditional memorial prayer.
Hamsei menucha nechona tachat kanfei Hashchina Im kedoshim udorim kezohar arakia mazhirim et nishmat yanid barefile vereza shahalecha le'olama barachamim yostireo beseder kenafam be'olamim Peitzror mitzror hachayim et nishmata Adonai hu nachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomar Amen.
O God, full of compassion, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence. To Yana Vishnitsky, who has entered into eternity, O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be thou her possession, and may her repose ever be peace. And let us all say together, Amen. You may be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our service here at Temple Emmanuel. We'll have burial at Emmanuel Cemetery. We do have an escorted procession, so if you'd like to join us for the burial, we'll ask you to return to your cars as soon as we escort the family and the casket to their cars. And we'll start lining up on the southeast exit of the synagogue parking lot. If you're not going to the cemetery, we'll ask you to use the northeast exit of the parking lot. The family would like to invite you to their home this afternoon through the early afternoon or evening at 5 p.m. and again on Sunday from 12 noon to 5 p.m. for Shiva and condolence calls. We'll ask you to remain in your places as we escort the family and the casket out. Pallbearers, I'll invite you forward at this time.